Hardy, hello.
Hardy, hello, listeners.
How's it going? What's up with you?
What is up with you? We are starting our podcast, our third episode,
Whoop
three.
whoop.
So
Three.
yes, we always start with what's up with you. Basically, we tell you guys about what's going on in our lives, as we are humans and college students.
Yeah.
And so we'll start off with our co-host Nicole-Antionette. What's up with you?
All right. Well, I just got back from vacation. I went to Florida. I don't know why I'm singing, but it was really fun. We went to Universal. We went to the beach. So that was really, really fun. And I forgot to mention, oh my God, silly. Happy Pride Month.
Oh, happy Pride Month! Yeah.
Yeah, and Mental Health Awareness Month. It's a lot of month stuff.
Oh, it's both of those. I'm sure it's another month too. We don't even know about it.
I know. I'm pretty sure it's like Caribbean Culture Month. Someone correct me in the comments or something like that. I don't know. But
Uh,
it's so awesome that it's Pride Month. I'm really excited. I don't know if Pride's going on this month, but if it is, I want to go. And if you're LGBTQ plus, we love you. We support you. You're fabulous.
it's Cancer from the Sun Awareness Month too.
Cancer from the sun awareness? I don't know what that. Oh, like skin cancer.
I just Googled it and I guess they call it Cancer from the Sun Awareness. I don't know why they didn't call it skin cancer.
That sounds a little not silly, but like the name sounds silly, you know?
It's also Hernia Awareness Month because
Gotcha.
everyone needs to know that people get hernias when they overexert themselves. We need to
Yeah.
have a whole month to ensure that people stretch and stay healthy.
Mm-hmm. Please stretch.
Yes.
Stretch, stay flexible, and stay prideful and
Yes.
mentally aware of your little noodle brain, you know?
Hey, and that kind of brings us up into our segment, talking about self-care. I'm sure you've looked
Yeah.
at the title of this episode. So we knew that beforehand, and that's why we're doing it in June for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I think next week we're going to talk a little bit more about pride, right?
Yes, we are.
It's going to be really exciting. This month is going to be exciting.
It is
In
exciting. We're
terms,
getting into our groove,
we are, yeah. But anyways, enough about our groove. What's up with you in this
What's up
awesome
with
month?
me?
Yeah.
So, it's pretty mundane compared to what's up with you. I did not have a fun vacation in Orlando. I'm just here in Oklahoma with the fam, as I have been since school's let out. And, I've just been chilling and preparing for my internship, which starts a few days from now, Monday. So a couple of days from now.
Ooh. Tell us what
Yeah,
you're
that's pretty
doing.
much it.
Tell us what
Yeah.
you're doing with your internship.
What am I doing with my internship? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know if the
What?
listeners know, but
Tell us.
I am going to be studying health disparities with the Nemours DuPont Pediatric Hospital in Delaware. Uh, I'm going to be having a research advisor, and basically, I'll go through a bunch of data they've collected over the years, and I'll present my findings at the end of I believe it's the end of July, but that's pretty much it.
July?
And it's very, very exciting. I get a stipend, and
Woo.
I hope that this will help me with my future research endeavors. So, yes, a very nice program, but unfortunately, there's a lot of forms to fill out and paperwork. Even though it's all online, they want
Mm-hmm.
all my immunization records. So,
Oh,
a lot of
that's no
companies
fun.
have not transitioned due to COVID. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way it is. I'm sure you all listeners have experienced similar things.
Definitely. And I know with my internships, because I have a couple this summer, I know all of mine are online or
Hmm.
like mostly online at least. And it's a struggle with that.
You're not going to tell them about your internships
Oh
since you
yeah.
have so many.
I don't have that many. So um, I have one that I'm doing that is so cool for this organization called Casa de Maryland. I'm basically helping with right now their education department. I think I'm gonna get moved to the legal department. There's like a little situation with that. Um, I think I was supposed to go in the legal department. For some reason, I'm in the education department. It's a little confusing. I need to talk to them about it, but it's fine. Um, and then I also have another internship with another podcast called the Latin Babbler Show. They're super cool. We'll probably team up with them at some point in the future. I don't know when, but
Once we get up our street cred, we will.
Yeah, we'll get up our street cred. Don't worry. Don't down talk ourselves like that. Gosh, this is us.
I'm not doubting, all right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
I'm sure our mother
Yeah.
and anyone else who's listening, probably two of our friends will also appreciate our collab. But one day, hopefully this will all sound silly, and you listeners out there from
Yeah.
across America and the world will be like, dang, he really had no hope.
I mean,
But
we
we'll
already
see.
have international listeners. I mean, some of y'all are in Germany, some of y'all are in California, Massachusetts, Florida. Shout out to all of
But
you
they
that
don't
take.
listen long enough, though. They need to
Mm,
put on the podcast and, do
yeah, tell your
something
friends
out,
about
relax.
us.
Like, listen to it for longer than 9 minutes because we have a lot to talk about. So
We
if you need
do.
to take a break and come back to it, to think of this as a class, right? You might not listen to it right immediately, but you're gonna have to listen to it eventually because there is
Not
gonna
as a
be a test.
class, bro. Way
Yes, and
cooler
we're
than a
gonna test you
class.
on the knowledge that we present. So be ready.
Yeah, on our
And if you
Instagram post.
this
You
is
jokester.
important.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But anyways, um, so I have those two internships, and then there was one that I applied to through this other organization called HACU, which is the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities. And they basically kind of pair you with I applied to the federal internship, which they basically pair you with a federal government organization or like committee or something like that. And then you have an internship. And I'm still kind of waiting to hear back from them, even though summer's already started. I know because of COVID, they're super delayed. So I might have 3 internships this summer. And then, of course, this podcast, which I just consider our job, our little side
Basically,
hustle, our happy hour, if you
this
will.
is my main job, right? And
Yeah,
hopefully one day it'll be my full employment. So
I
never
agree.
know.
I agree.
All right. So
Speaking of employment, we have an artist spotlight. I mean, that's not really employment, but like I tried to segue there.
yeah, that's
Today,
that's kind of what I was about to do. So yeah, I'm glad you jumped on that.
I got you. Today, what we want to do a little art the words a little artist spotlight. We're gonna do 2 of them today. So today our first artist is this singer called Clay, and that's all caps, Clay. um Her first like hit single was called Orange, which we're gonna play a little bit of in a minute or so. She super cool because first of all, that song is amazing. I love that song. I've already heard it, but we're gonna play it for you guys soon. She's an advocate for our LGBTQ folks, and she's also an advocate for like mental health awareness, which is awesome. Right now, she's like selling merch that follows the theme of her song Orange, and she's donating all the proceeds of that that she makes from that to the Equity Alliance, which like according to her website advocates for Black Americans and other communities of color to have a fair and just opportunity at realizing the American dream. So that's so awesome, I think. And I think she's also non-binary, which is why we kind of wanted to shout her out because she's like a little bit underground, I think, even though she has that one popular song Orange. But we wanted to shout her out because she's part of the awesome LGBTQ plus fam, and she goes by the pronouns she, they. So yeah. And then
Also, quick question, right before you
yeah.
continue.
Hmm.
As I am also experiencing this, um, we like to do this, right? Kind of surprise each other with information, so we can be kind of like a listener. But
Yeah.
my first question is, why is she called Clay?
I'm not sure. That's just kind of her artist name. That's what she decided she wanted.
Is
I
it
haven't
not an acronym?
no. I mean, it spelled like an acronym, but on her website and her Instagram and Twitter, she doesn't have it spelling out anything.
Okay.
There's so little information that I could find about her, like when we were actually researching about her, which was like kind of sad because she's one of my like that. The song Orange is honestly one of my favorite songs. It's such a cool song, and I think it's like a fun kind of clapback because it's kind of a song about like being mad, like it's about basically an ex and how her ex took away a color from her, and that color was orange. And so she at one point kind of shouts out, she's like, oh my gosh, now I can't look at sunsets, at Cheetos, at mangoes, not even oranges. And it's just like, it's kind of, I think it's so funny because it's like, it's this awesome kind of clapback about like being angry about that, but also being kind of, it's like a mixture between angry and clapping back and kind of not really sad, I don't wouldn't say, but like, that kind of like energy, if you will. And I just really appreciate that. And then another really good song of hers is like Send Off, which we're not going to play today, but I really highly recommend you listen to it. So without further ado,
Let's jump on in. All right.
This incredible singer. We're going to be playing the first minute or so of her song. It's going to be just us vibing for a hot minute while Dylan pulls it up there. Shares the screen. It's really fun. I found out about her song from originally because I saw it on a meme, and then I was like crazy searching, and then I couldn't find it until a year later, I think, in like last year. And so it's just one of my favorite songs.
All right. So you can hear it. I mean, you can see it, Nicole-Antionette?
I can see it. It's the video. Right. If you're out watching on YouTube, you can see we're going to be showing you the first minute of the video, which we have no rights to, but we love anyway.
We're not making any money off of this.
No.
Yet, so don't copyright us.
Please and thank you. Hearts.
You took away my color. You know that was my favorite one. Reminded me of summer, tangled up in covers. Can't enjoy the morning sun. You came without a warning. I should have seen the caution signs. Disrupted all the peace and brought me to my knees. And now you never leave my mind. You got so good at scheming. Showered my tangerine dreaming. Keep on repeating. Roses are red, and I wish I could see them bloom. But all I see is orange hues, and all I do is think of you. Now you're stuck in my head, and I wish I could sing the blues. But all I hear are orange tunes, and all I do is think of you, think of you. Now you got this smile on your face when you should.
All right.
You cannot tell me she does not look like Miley Cyrus.
She doesn't. Miley Cyrus has brunette or blonde hair.
Bruh, what are you telling me? What? Look at that.
She does not look like Miley Cyrus.
All right, listeners, comments on whether or not she looks like Miley Cyrus. Yes or no?
I don't think she looks like Miley Cyrus, bro.
She totally does. She totally does.
But that's what I love about her, that like her looks are so artistic. Like even in the video, if you're watching on YouTube, like her aesthetic is just so kind of like pleasing to the eye. It's very artistic, and I love how like just she expresses herself, And like I love how the color kind of it goes together, but it kind of contrasts, with the orange and the purple and then a little bit of the greens. And it's just like it's so kooky, but it also seems like so cohesive at the same time, if that makes sense, And that's like something I really love and appreciate, that she's so artistic with like her words from the actual like song, but then the video is like also really cool in its own way. It's like both of them are their own works of art. Like if you were just watching the video silently, I think it would still be pretty enjoyable, I don't know, but what are your thoughts? What are your first reactions to it?
I think my first thoughts are, yes, the music video is definitely interesting. I could tell that she put a lot of thought into it, and especially the way that she presents herself. I think the lyrics are very important and what makes this piece unique. And so, as with many, underground artists, the lyrics are what bring you in, right?
Definitely.
And I think to understand her sound and the energy she gets, I think I need to listen to the whole song at a later date and make sure that I fully comprehend what she's telling me, But
Yeah.
from what I get, it sounds cool. It's like, she thinks of this guy and she has a certain color for him, and
Yeah.
it's become a part of her life.
It's cool because it like kind of reminds me of like synesthesia, I think it is, where it's like you associate sound with color,
Oh,
and like kind of vice versa. I think there's a couple other variations of it, but just like that kind of like locks and ties in, especially with this song. And I noticed a lot of her songs are kind of, at least for me, make me think a lot of color, because there's another song. Um, I think it's called Blue, and it's literally like what's bluer than blue or something like that. And it's like a lot of her songs, even though they're about different things, they kind of associate with color in this awesome way. And it kind of gives you almost like a little bit of a glance into maybe what's having synesthesia might like look like, even though I have no idea what having synesthesia is like really, like from a firsthand experience. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
so synesthesia, just so I understand, that's a
Yeah,
psychiatric disorder.
I believe so. I don't know if it's like a disorder, but it's like it's definitely something you can get diagnosed for, I
Oh,
think. I know like other artists like Billie Eilish have it. Yeah, I know
so
there's a few famous artists that have it.
there's just like one sound that they have, or multiple sounds for each color.
Like when you hear a sound or a song, you might think of a color.
Oh,
Like I know I was watching an interview with Billie Eilish just because she's the only one that I know like for sure has synesthesia. Um she was like talking about her new album, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this," she was like, "I ordered the songs in the colors that just made sense." Or something along those lines to her. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." It was confusing to me because I don't know how
yeah,
that experience is. You know what I mean? But it's interesting, I think.
that
And
definitely
so
is
it kind of,
interesting.
yeah, and it kind of ties in with Clay because like literally, even though she's talking about deeper things, she always like kind of highlights a color, which I think is just so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a great artist spotlight. So yeah, everybody check out Clay.
Yeah. You can find her on Spotify as Clay, all caps, or Instagram and Twitter. Her Twitter is always popping, and her Instagram is, ugh, the aesthetic is real. I'm not even lying. Her username is I am Clay Official, all lowercase, no spaces. But anyways, so Clay is a good self-care song, which leads us into our main topic of, or at least our first main topic of like self-care. So like how do
And
you take care of yourself? How do you do the self-caring?
so I think we should start and talk about like ideas of self care.
Mhm.
Um, so like self care in general, there's it's a lot of different things, but it's basically taking time, structured time to do what makes you whole, what makes you feel okay, and what alleviates the stress of the times where you're doing something where you really don't want to do, right? It's taking
Mhm.
time for yourself. And it depends on the day. Sometimes it depends on who you are, but whatever feels best and what makes you more productive for later on when you do have priorities outside of yourself, right?
Mhm.
And that's what I think self care is. What do you think, Nicole-Antionette?
I think when I think of self-care, I think of like, like how people say like, "Oh, the glass is half full, the glass is half empty" kind of analogy. And so I feel like self-care, if work is kind of like the air of like the half empty, right? And you want to fill up your cup and like refill your energy, self-care is that water that kind of refuels you. That must have
Interesting
been like,
metaphor.
Yeah. That's kind of how I think of it. It's like the big old pitcher that helps you get a big old sip of water. That and that's just it helps you kind of reset and be able to like really bounce back and do the stuff you need to do. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And,
Yeah.
a lot of people, before we get into exactly what we do for self care, a lot of people have a misconception that, self care makes you lazy. But
Mhm.
as we have experienced, and as people smarter than us who know more about psychology, uh, self care is not laziness. Self care is how
Mhm.
you enhance your productivity, right? Instead of drowning out through all this work, right, and putting a toll on your mental health, it's best to, allocate time for yourself and therefore make your work more productive. And,
Mhm.
as she said, fill up that glass, right? You know,
Yeah.
if you're thirsty, you're gonna need more water. That's all I
Mhm.
can say. Right? I
Exactly.
I'm trying to
It's
use your
self-care.
metaphor the best I can, but yeah.
I
So,
think you did a pretty good job. I think it works.
but what do
Yeah,
you
I
do for self
appreciate that.
care?
Personally, my two top things I do for self-care are exercise and therapy. I'm the cross country and track teams at McDaniel, and running is for me is literally so much like of a reset for me, even though sometimes I hate it because like running, ew, you know what I mean? Like, but I find that like a lot of the time, either when I'm like going on a road run or doing a hard workout or doing like a really tough race, especially like the 2 mile, um, I kind of come out of it. I either like during or after, I feel like kind of really rejuvenated and I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm ready to go. And then the second main thing that I do is I go to therapy. Therapy's great. And I love therapy. My therapist's name is Sharon, which I feel like is a really therapist name. And I've had her since I don't even know how long anymore. But I think everyone should get a Sharon. Get you a Sharon. And that's my main self-care stuff. What about you?
Well, I am currently working on getting my first Sharon in a very long time.
Woo!
I actually have my first appointment next week. I'm excited for it. I
Woo!
had to wait a whole month and a half, so we'll see how
Mm-hmm.
it goes. But yeah, therapy is always great. No matter what you're going through, or even if you're really not going through anything, therapy is a great source for you. And later on, we'll talk about like what kinds of therapy there are, and like where the resources are. So
Mm-hmm.
in case you have any questions about that. But
Yeah. And I think
what I,
therapy is like, oh, sorry, I have a question to what
no,
you're saying.
there's like a delay, so you can go
Yeah, we're
ahead.
on
Yeah,
Zoom. Our first, well, probably not even our first, one of our many Zoom issues because we're not
yeah.
in person anymore. But go ahead, say what you're saying.
I don't remember. You just go for now.
Okay. No, I feel like there's so many misconceptions about therapy. Like, so many people think that like you only go to therapy if you have like a mental disorder or if you're like going through like a depressive episode or like an anxiety episode or something traumatic is happening. Like, you don't have to be going through anything traumatic to go to therapy. Like sometimes you just want someone to go to vent to, and
Hmm.
like just an extra person to like maybe get some advice from. Um Maybe someone who can kind of help you heal from some childhood trauma, if you will. Like, you can uncover themes that recur, like recurring themes in your life. You can talk about literally anything to your therapist. And because you're either paying them or using your insurance, like they have to be there. You know what I mean? Like they can't just be like, peace out, girlfriend. They're always there for you. And I think that's so great because it's important to like talk about what you're going through because you can't just go around the streets talking about what you're going through or your childhood trauma. I mean, you could, but I don't know how useful
Yeah,
that would be and like constructive. I think it's a lot more of a constructive setting in therapy. I love therapy. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. Get you a
and
Sharon.
I think a good metaphor, at least where I think of, is like I think of therapists as like having a seatbelt, right, and putting on that seatbelt, right. you could wait until you're about to have a car accident and you can see it happening and then put on that seatbelt. But oftentimes it's too late. And therefore, the use of the seatbelt isn't as there. And what I mean by that is therapy is also a great preventative measure, right? You
Yeah.
could wait until you have some episode and then try to rebuild from that. But it's healthier to start earlier so that when you are going through that, you already have a rapport with the therapist. They understand how you tick and they can help you along the way. And so it's not as detrimental.
Exactly. I definitely agree with that.
But outside of therapy, what I do personally,
Yes.
exercise, physiologically speaking, is great for your mind as well as your body. But I love exercise and
Yeah.
I don't run like she does. I try my best on the treadmill every now and then. I huff and puff. I do what I can.
You put your hands on your hips.
Don't tell me about them hips. I breathe heavy, whatever it takes. But it's more about the effort. But I also weightlift. I enjoy it very much, and when I'm focused in there, I really don't have the energy to focus on things that I might mull over and maybe negative things that are happening in my life. And the release of pheromones, good pheromones, and it's just good. It's great all around energy. But
definitely.
I don't think that was the right word for it. But anyway, also I like meditation. Just early in the morning, slow down your breath, think about nothing. It actually helps you focus, right? And
definitely.
It helps you start your day grounded, right?
There's so many meditation challenges too.
Meditation challenges? What are
challenges and apps? I know a lot of influencers, like they do like 100 days of meditation or like some crazy things like 1,000 days of meditation where you have to do like streaks of meditating like on the daily. And those are really cool. And there's also a bunch of apps that are really great. I know there's like the Calm app, there's Headspace, which I personally use and I love. There's a bunch of other apps, but those are great to like meditate with. And they're kind of guided. And I'm sure on YouTube there's a bunch of like meditation videos too.
There are. And you can have someone with a really soft voice talk you through it, help you breathe. And it has noticeable impacts. It really does. Yeah.
Definitely. But what else are you gonna say? I think I interrupted you there.
No. I was just gonna end it with I like journaling, right? I think you also said you did that as well, right? Maybe not yet.
I don't journal. I tried journaling. My therapist, my Sharon, and then I had another therapist before her, before I got to my forever therapist, my Sharon. She also tried to get me to journal. I'm not a journaler. I know it works great for some people. So you want to talk about journaling? Go ahead.
Yeah. What journaling does for me, and normally what I do in my journals is I write about how I'm feeling at that particular moment. Normally there are recurring themes, and then after I write it down, I think it's easier to kind of pick out those themes rather than just having all those ideas jumbled in your mind, right? And oftentimes what's weighing me down is the stress of something coming up in the future, right? Or something that I'm dealing with now, but I don't know how to handle myself. And so being able to understand that, right? Because sometimes I'll just wake up and I'll just feel horrible, right? And I just won't even know why that is. But then going through like how my day went and how I reacted to it and writing that down, it helps me kind of pick those out and more easily address them. And then sometimes I go to like to-do lists on how I can begin to work on those problems. And even if I don't actually get to my to-do list, which is silly, at least I know that like there are like steps that I could take to resolving those issues. And it feels like a weight has been lifted off, even though I really haven't done anything, because oftentimes a lot of those problems are simply in your head.
That's true. But just because they're in their head doesn't mean they're not there.
That's true.
Even if they're not like tangibly there, they're still there in your head. If it's weighing on you, it's weighing on you.
Baggage is real.
I'm glad journaling works for you. That's so great. I know my sister journals too. And I don't know how y'all journalers do it, but I give a round of applause to you because I don't have the strength for that.
And what's great about my journaling, right,
Hmm.
is my handwriting is so bad that no one can read it but me. So it's a great
So even
way.
if someone hatches into your locked diary,
Yeah, exactly.
you'll be fine.
They
That's so
won't be able to read
sneaky.
my crushes or anything like that. They just won't be able to have access to it.
Everyone knows your crush. It's your girlfriend.
By the way, by the way, journals are not diaries. They're two separate things. So,
That's
sorry
true.
if I
That's
added that
true.
into your head, but that's not true.
Well, no, but like when I think of journaling, I think of diarying.
Mm-hmm.
Diarying. I feel like it's kind of, at least for me, hand in hand. I don't know, like what's the big difference for journaling and diarying?
So, let
If that
me
makes sense.
wake you. So, um, journals um, aren't as restricted as diaries. Diaries are the series of events that happened in that day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just what happened. That's it. Journals are a little more open, and they're more about how the experience through your eyes and how you felt. But
Mm-hmm.
really, journaling doesn't even have to be specifically about that day. It could be really about anything. I think even as our professor mentioned, just the idea of like putting thoughts on paper, it could be cathartic for some people. So
Oh.
diary, like, diaries are normally, just again a series of events, like historical, blah blah blah. But I think both of those can be altered, and so like people might say they have a diary, but it's probably more a journal.
That's true. So maybe there's some overlap in that sense that
Yeah.
people think, like, kind of mislabel it.
Hmm.
That's cool. I like it. I'm proud that you're a
Yeah.
journalist.
And I'm proud of your therapying. I
Yes, I love my therapying. And then our last kind of self-care thing that I think most people do some form of is like artsy fartsy stuff, right?
hmm
So we got like people who write, might that maybe that's in like journaling if you want to do it in like a fancy schmancy way of it kind of looking like a poem or like something poem adjacent, maybe um adjacent like that. um or like
Okay.
drawing, doodling, painting. Get you some Bob Ross up in here. Ooh, yes,
Yes.
we love a good Bob Ross.
Did
And
you
then
actually
maybe
participate in the school Bob Ross thing?
no, our school had a Bob Ross painting session, if you don't know, and I wanted to go so badly, and then I couldn't. I don't know what happened, but I just ended up not being able to go. Maybe you should
Wait,
have
you?
invited me.
I remember exactly what happened. I was trying to go with you.
You
Do you
were?
remember that? We were
No, but
together trying to get in because I had waited before you. I just went by myself, and you couldn't come in with me. You don't remember that?
that's right. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And you were like so hurt, and I was like, "See, I told you you should have signed up before, whatever." And that's what happened.
Yeah.
Because
And then I
that's
didn't
just
go.
so popular because it's just such a great self care thing.
Yeah.
Artsy
And
stuff,
Bob Ross
drawing,
is so
painting.
iconic too. I'm sure there's
Yes.
other painting dudes, but yeah. And then, of course, in that artsy fartsy stuff, you can do some songwriting, some singing, and like composing. Who knows? Maybe you're really artsy fartsy. You do some of that techie mixing stuff. I don't know. Um, and on that note, Dylan, you want to talk about your artist spotlight?
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, one more thing I forgot to mention, and then I'll get to my artist
Okay.
spotlight.
Yes.
Also, I think something that helps me, right? Um,
Hmm.
Self care is hard to do, oftentimes because it takes the effort of allocating your time to something directly for your own benefit, right? And
Hmm.
so a lot of people are like, well, I'm too busy. I go to work and then I'm tired, and then I don't have the time to like spend this allocated amount of time for this. Well, a
Hmm.
great thing about self care is you can actually be productive. Like if you enjoy doing something like cooking and baking, you can spend a little extra time, a little more effort into your cooking and your baking, you know?
That's
And you could say,
true.
hey, well, I cooked my meal. Or you could clean, you could do it kind of excessively, and it could be, dual benefit. But
Hmm.
I'd end with, I forgot to mention my journaling is, writing down your strengths, your blessings, and your accomplishments. It really helps you stay positive and
Hmm.
optimistic in your outlook. And that's important because I'm sure a lot of people have it really bad. And I feel like you really can't compare situations, but understanding that your own situation could be worse and everyone has something that they're grateful for. And hold on to those because that's what makes life life and life happy. All right.
Definitely. I
I,
agree.
Glad you agree. Anyway, let me get to the artist spotlight. I know I'm kind
Yeah,
of
please
talking too
do.
much.
No
So,
worries. We appreciate you talking.
um, my artist spotlight is
Yes.
MF Doom, RIP. So,
Oh.
I'll give you a little background. MF Doom is an African American immigrant.
Hmm.
Actually, his parents were from, I believe, Zimbabwe and Tanzania. And
Mm.
although he lived in New York, Long Island, most of his childhood, he actually was born in the UK. So later on in his life, he ended up having to live in UK because after a tour in Europe, he wasn't allowed back into America after living there all that time. But
Hmm.
he started his first rap group when he was 17 with his brother. Then after his brother died, he was going through stuff. He was homeless, and he kind of left the game. But when he came back with that persona. He stayed anonymous. He even, I think, put like stockings over his head. And under this new anonymous person, he began the complete MF Doom. He started wearing the mask. It comes from Doctor Doom from Marvel Comics.
Which is so
And
cool.
it is
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I first liked about it. Like, oh, cool, the dude like raps in a mask. That's nice. But
Yeah.
um, he has a very like underground presence, right? He's very popular in the UK. He's worked with people like Jay Dilla, Ghostface Killer, Danger Mouse, MF Grimm, which relatively popular, but not the most popular. But in
Yeah.
general, he has like this underground presence and feel. And as Q-Tip put it, he's your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. If you listen
Hmm.
to a lot of his music, the instrumentals that he used are the same that Tyler the Creator used. So I have a feeling that
Oh,
Tyler
that's
the
cool.
Creator listens to MF Doom.
Definitely. And like get some inspiration from him for a
Hundred
lot of
percent,
stuff,
hundred
probably.
percent. Because I've already
That's so
listened to
cool.
four that are exactly the same, like
Hmm.
instrumentals. So,
Oh,
but
wow.
yeah, he's had a great impact on the hip hop community. He was actually honored in the 63rd Grammys in memoriam montage, which is crazy for an underground rapper. Um,
Oh, that's so
and
cool.
he died in 2020 of unknown causes, unfortunately, at the age of 49. Um,
Hmm.
but what I like most about him is his authentic, authentic, authenticity, authentic feel, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell all his stuff is original, right? It's not something like a lot of people complain about how all rappers sound the same, right? He has a very
Definitely.
distinct vibe. And that's what I appreciate about him. His lyrics are extremely clever, multiple embedded rhymes and meanings in everything that he says. And
Hmm.
he just has like great energy to him, right? It's very unfortunate that he passed away so soon because actually
Yeah.
even in this late stage, he was still producing and producing. Like his rap career, often people, especially shallow rappers, they're young and then like their rap career ends abruptly. He kept going
Hmm.
through it because of his lyrical ability. Anyway, I kind of talked over.
It's
So I'll just
okay. I
give
mean,
you
he was pretty young, so it's really cool that he was like, even though he was underground, he was still somewhat like, he was like really impactful still, you know? And I
yeah,
think that's something that like really makes it shows like how an artist makes their mark as opposed to like, oh, it's just about the hits. It's like more about the long haul, like that, which is
yeah.
more important, I think, for sure.
hmm And
Hmm.
like this guy started obviously from the bottom, didn't know anyone. He started with like open mics where he just come in and freestyle, right? So
Hmm.
I forgot to mention his name is Daniel Doomlay. That's another reason why it's called Dr. Doom because his last name Doomlay. But
Oh, that's so fun.
part of the song.
Okay.
So I'm going to play a short clip from a live recording. It's called
Mhm.
Expectoration Live with a K, Act 2, and he's performing his recorded song Hey. But I think having that live recording kind of helps you understand his presence. So 1 second, and I'll have that pulled up for you guys.
That's so cool. I'm very excited to hear about
All right.
MF Doom because this is my first reaction to MF Doom for those of y'all who are like in the same boat as me. Hmm. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
When I say hey, I say hey, hey, hey. I only play the games that I win at and say the same with more rhymes than his ways of skin cats. As a matter of fact, let me rephrase. With more rhymes and ways to fillet felines of these days. Watch the path of the black one, the super villain. He rep club for dope in the drunken stupor chilling. Ready and willing to inadvertently fall that plan of any rhymer, whiner, or sport brat. Who got more snottier flows and snotty nose? Who holds mics like he know karate body blows? Nobody knows the trouble I see from the MPV fly dirty till in the bubble I-30. For the record, this is some shit I just thought of, y'all. Science fiction that's not admissible in no court of law. I live to rock mics in 3D. The only reason I see to stop to snuff the TV. I heard beats that sound like karaoke. But monkey rhymers on a leash like, don't have this Barry choke me. Hit him with a penny so we can get these peanuts. And I thought we was nuts. I used to get free cut. They locked Lex Luthor up in Green Haven. Since then, a nigga never really been too clean shaven. Misbehaving rap stars need.
All right. So that kind of gives you an idea of his sound. What do you think,
so
Nicole-Antionette?
cool. I really enjoyed that. I liked how he like at one point he mentioned Lex Luthor, which I think is so fun because that kind of goes with his like comic book theme of like how he's kind of like similar to Dr. Doom with the masks and with his name of MF Doom, and it's kind of like a fun little reference. I'm a comic book nerd, so I love like that makes my little comic book nerd heart just so happy because that's so cool how like it kind of ties in. I like the beat for sure. Like that was like a very kind of like it made me think of like almost like a crime chase, if that makes sense, like a sleuthing crime chase, if that makes sense. Like they're chasing the whoever they're sleuthing down, almost like a Scooby-Doo vibe, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I
Like
get
a
what you're saying.
tough kind of grown-up Scooby-Doo vibe. Scooby-Doo in the gang. Yeah.
Actually,
I really like that though.
We mentioned comics, right?
Yeah.
There's this rap group called Czarface. Czar as in like the German Czar, you know, or Russian Czar. I don't know which one it was, but
yeah.
Basically, it's a group similar to MF Doom where they talk a lot about like comics in their rap, and they've collaborated with MF Doom really frequently. So if you like the kind of, they have a similar sound, and their name is Czarface. But
you're gonna have to remind me of that. That is so fun. I didn't even know that it was kind of like a almost like it sounds like it's almost like a subculture, like a subculture of like referencing comic books and music, which is kind of fun.
It definitely is. It definitely is. And I don't know if you listen to SoundCloud rappers, but it's become part of their culture to reference anime. So, like,
oh yeah,
part of like who they reference kind of determines like where the artist is in terms of the genre. It's really cool. But I think my favorite line from him is he said, rappers are rusty like oxidation. And then I don't know what he said after it, but like that, to be able to rhyme with oxidation and to know that rust is oxidation, I think is pretty cool. But
yeah, it kind of goes against the like kind of, I feel like that a lot of people assume that like rappers are just kind of like, rappers are so stupid, they're like maybe like uneducated and like da 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 da, like kind of like giving them a bad rap, kind of, you know. And I think that's something that's kind of no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think like that's well earned to some degree. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of the popular rap is almost brainless to a degree.
Oh, for
you
sure.
know, like Like,
Yeah, that's
I
true.
can
Like
list
there are
names
some
if you
rappers that
need
are
to.
just like booty, 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 coochie, coochie, coochie. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? But
booty on
you
coochie,
know,
coochie on booty.
yeah. And I think it's like, even though that's definitely a good portion of like rappers and stuff like that, I think it's kind of refreshing to hear that like at least there's some rappers out there who aren't just all booty, 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 coochie, coochie, coochie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's nice. It's refreshing for sure.
and yeah, so that was actually what turned me off to hip hop in general at the very
Mhm.
beginning, because I'm like, why would I care about those particular topics? And then after exploring on my own, I came to find out that while rappers throw that here and there, like later on in the song, he's like, at where your mom is, something something, and he talks about his thing, whatever. But it's like it's not encapsulating, and it's clever. It's not hard to rhyme with a lot of the four-letter words they rhyme with. It's I could
Yeah.
do it. Anyone can do it, and um, I think understanding that there's other genres before you say anything about a whole genre. I think you should look at the subgenres and look at the other artists that you don't see on the radio, because the radio is mass produced stuff that they know works, right? They
Mhm.
know that young teens love to hear about their booties and their coochies and their dangalangs. That's known, and so that's
Yeah.
why they talk about it, right? They make
Yeah.
money off of it, and money is a large driving force in a lot of things. So understanding that there's other things out there, don't simply just attack a genre. And I know people that do that, but you know
Yeah.
they're just a little single-minded with their approach to things.
Yeah, I agree. It's important to not like overgeneralize, especially in genres that are so like specific like this one, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. But anywho,